Ready? Okay, our first matchup. It's, again, will be on Akalon Waste. And it's going to be between two very good players, people I've heard of before. And it's going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. Excellent start. We're getting a nice variation in the matchups today as well so far.
Oh yeah, we are. We are seeing Terrans, we are seeing Zergs, we are seeing Protosses. I'm very happy with that because lately, especially in the domestic Czech scene, where I try to keep in contact and try to keep tabs on that as well. We do have an alarming lack of Terrans competing in the major events here, so I'm very, very, very happy that there is enough Terrans in the DSCL. Yay for the Dutch scene. That's all I'm going to say about that before I do introduce mouse controls. Dark Omicron, the green Protoss player here on Akalon Wastes in the top left. And in the bottom right, we do have LowLandLions. MSI is the sponsor, obviously. It is going to be the pink Zerg, Yona.
So I got excited when I saw the name. I was hoping the MSI meant that he was a member of the band Mindless Self-Indulgence. And then, unfortunately, it turned out he wasn't. I had to put my autograph book away. But then immediately I pulled it back out again when I realised that he was the LowLandLions player, Yona. So I am ready. I'm ready for an awesome game today. Especially Dark Omicron is a guy I've seen it around and about in a couple of individual league tournaments before. So a bit of a different setup here, of course, with him being the opening player in a team match, which means his team must be fairly confident in his abilities. You know, the first game is a lot about putting out a very good all-round player, someone who can deal with just about anything their opponents can throw at them, and giving you that early advantage. As we saw in the previous series, Clan Mythology lost their first game, and that just steamrolled all out of proportion, ended up losing 3-0, so very, very crucial to be winning that first game.
Indeed, it is. So Yona is going to try and plant down his hatchery using one drone. Oh, perfect job by Yona, actually using one drone to try to scare away the probes, nibble at it, so that the second drone can put down the hatchery, which was successful. Dark Omicron wanted to hide this probe for a later scout, but then realized that it has been scouted by this Overlord, so it's going to go the other way and just go ahead and hide it here in the pocket expansion. Meanwhile, he's getting his Nexus up, he's getting the Forge, he's getting the Pylon, he'll be getting a Gateway and double gas as well. Everything is scouted by Yona at this point, of course, so Dark Omicron, as the timer reaches or moves closer to the 4-minute mark, he's going to be waiting for that third hatchery to go down, and we indeed do have a drone moving out, so certainly not going to be a 2-base all-in.
Yeah, now I'm a little bit disappointed in Yona there. He had those two lings out to try and chase the probe away, but then still allowed it to see the drone. And even now see the hatchery. So much more concerned with getting it down than making sure his opponent didn't know what was going on, which is, you know, a perfectly fine response. But I like the play from Dark Omicron so far. He scouted exactly what Yona was doing. He was able to go Nexus first, even on a 2-player map. Got it down before his Forge. And now the very, very good, solid wall-off with only that 1 point of weakness. Which is something we like to see coming out of Protoss players. The worst thing in the world is a shoddy Forge wall-off.
Yeah, and I have to say, I know the reason for the placement of this cannon is to break down the rocks very, very quickly, because he will be looking to take a very, very fast third base. Why I don't like the placement of that cannon is, unless you build a second one between the gateway and the forge, your whole ramp is not covered by the cannon. So if a little poke comes in, the forge will be assaulted. Of course, it would have to be a really weird play coming out of Yona to have cancelled the third base and just dump everything into units and try to pressure the front, potentially even break it. So I think Dark Omicron knows what he's doing. I'm just saying that it's usually a good idea for your one cannon to cover the whole wall instead of just one part of it.
Yep, absolutely. Reasons to go either way. Dark Omicron, just as we said, feeling very, very confident here after getting a very, very strong scout off. So as mentioned, Dark Omicron looking to take a very fast third base here. It will be coming up not long after that 6-minute 30 mark, which is insane for a Protoss and very, very scary for a Zerg player. Akalon Waste is a map that's going to make it very hard to put a proper assault on it this early in the game. He's going to get a few lings in there.
The cannon might have to be cancelled here. In fact, I'm fairly sure it will have to be cancelled. There goes the cancel. And, you know, every single delay that Yona can force out of Dark Omicron will be an advantage in the coming minutes and seconds. These rocks are still up, so that cannon was the only thing that could have defended the run-by. And delaying the cannon, delaying the wall being put up, that's all good in Yona's book as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. It will be handy, but of course not going to delay the actual building of the third. And now the rocks are down, and he even cancels that gateway. He says, okay, I don't need that wall anymore. So all of these are good, strong moves coming out from Dark Omicron, and this 3-base economy is going to set him up very, very nicely going into the mid-game. Once he really gears up that economy, starts to then get the strong Protoss tech out, Yona is going to be in a little bit of a difficult situation. I would not mind seeing Yona respond by just going insanely macro heavy. Like, we're talking maybe even take his fourth as a macro hatch. Like, instead of getting the in-base macro hatch and then taking a fourth, just go, you've got 3 bases, you're probably not attacking anytime soon. So at the time for that macro hatch, just drop a fourth.
And this is a really smart play coming out of Dark Omicron here. We see Yona getting a Spire basically immediately, or almost immediately after the lair finished. But it is scouted, and even before it was scouted, Dark Omicron certainly knows how this matchup is played, getting both the Stargate and the Robo-Bay down, and then sends out the Hallucinated Phoenix. And now he saw the Spire, so he's adding on a second Stargate. This is such a smart play, and by the time the first Mutalisks are out, because certainly this is what Yona is going for as he's trying to take the 4th base as well, it is going to be too late. They are already going to be countered. So, you know, after seeing that Phoenix, a smart decision maybe would be to tech switch really fast immediately after that.
And speaking of perfect decisions, what does Dark Omicron do? He throws down that Fleet Beacon, going to be getting the Phoenix range upgrade, the Anion Pulse Crystals, meaning with good, solid control, you never need lose another Phoenix to Mutas again. So,
yes.
Man, Dark Omicron is setting up for a very, very strong opening game. Even with the Corruptors coming out, I don't think it's going to be enough. Trying to get the Flyer attacks level 1, though. That's a nice response by Yona. You know, when he's in this situation, obviously, right now, unaware of either of the Stargates, unaware of the Fleet Beacon, but when you're committing so heavily to air, it's nice to see the air upgrades coming out fast and early. I just don't see it being able to do much against this Force of Phoenix, especially as soon as Anion Pulse Crystals finishes.
You know, what I like about Yona's play is that he, alongside the Mutalisks, he's getting Corruptors straight up as well, because he's kind of expecting a emergency Stargate, or just a precautionary Stargate to be up, at least one. So he's getting Corruptors to have a healthy number, try to combat those Phoenixes a little bit more effectively. The Phoenixes that he doesn't yet know about, but he's going to find out very, very shortly. Of course, this will also help versus potential Void Rays Colossi, because if you think about it in this matchup, almost every single hard-hitting Protoss unit, apart from the Storming High Templars, is targetable by air units. So if, as a Zerg, you go for a very heavy air composition, you are pretty much in an okay spot, as long as you can prevent the Protoss from getting a foothold on your side of the map and pressuring you with a ground army.
Yep, that's certainly true. Now, we are going to see the Twilight Council going down for Dark Omicron as well, potentially allowing him to switch forward into Templars in the future. Of course, at the moment, just going to be used so he gets access to those level 2 upgrades. That's really what it's all about for him at this point. But certainly a tech switch into the Archons as a bit of ground support would be a nice switch should an engagement not end the game.
Yeah, definitely would be. Archons are crazy good with good storms. You can also feed back Vipers, all sorts of good and jazzy stuff. We see Dark Omicron getting +1 air weapons as well, and he's trying to go full out air here, I think. He's got only a token number of gateways, considering how many bases he's got, but okay, as I say that, he adds on more. And he's producing quite a lot of Void Rays. I don't see any Robo Base being planted down, so he's not really thinking of going into Colossi. As you said, High Templars and Archons are a more natural transition, which synergizes with the Phoenix a little bit better. And, but the Zerg, he's getting ridiculously ahead on macro. If he's allowed to take one more expansion, then the Protoss might be in some trouble. Yona is almost max. He's got 20 Mutas out, 15 Corruptors, 86 drones. Now, I have to say that he has to pretty much start building static defense a little bit more and try to secure a possibility to remax on the air units that he's bound to lose with a good ground army in case the Protoss pushes out anytime soon.
Yep, we're starting to get an engagement here at the third base of Dark Omicron. Yona pushing and taking down some cannons, trying to also take down some Void Rays and Phoenixes at the same time. He's going to want to get out ahead, doesn't want to engage in range of that Photon Overcharge. So trying to micro against the Phoenixes, but that's not going to work too well because of that range upgrade. Now, I finally figured out what I don't like about Dark Omicron's play here. And what I don't like is that he's got 7 Phoenixes, and for the entire game, they've just sat in his base over his army.
Well, the same can be said for the Mutalisks. Those Mutalisks only have killed, or Yona in general has only killed 1 probe.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Mutas have very much been shut down throughout this. It gets scary for me as a Protoss when you're allowing your Zerg opponent to get up 5 bases. You're getting these Phoenixes and not really using them to harass. At least, send a couple about, try and find where the army is, try and maybe even snipe some Overlords. Yona is not letting up on this pressure, and I like this. I like that he's adding Infestors underneath to potentially try and draw the Phoenixes out and then fungal them and take them down with his stronger Air Force.
He's also achieving one other thing here. He's keeping the Protoss pinned on 4 bases. 3 bases. If he can deny a 4th base to Dark Omicron, the longer the game goes on, the better the position he will be in. So we do have a Zealot harassment though going on 2 places at once, but Yona pulling the drones very, very quickly there, taking a 6th base right here at the 6 o'clock, while the Protoss is taking his 4th. If he can get a cancel on this 4th for the Protoss, he's going to be in a very good position because that's going to, of course, deter the Protoss from pushing out. Every single time he pushes out, he's going to get backstabbed, he's going to get counterattacked. And those Mutalisks, they might get a cancel on this in quite, if I'm being quite honest. But they have to move past the cannons, so a lot of them may go down.
Yep, and nice moves here by Yona again, adding now the 2nd Spire. That will allow him to get double upgrades out of those. I'd like to see some Carapace upgrades coming out from him now, though. He's at some point going to have to actually engage in a fight, and especially with Broodlords coming out now, that the Air Carapace would be very, very good for keeping them alive versus the Deathball Air army of Dark Omicron. But as it is, focusing more on that attack, wants to just take down the army and take it down fast.
The problem is that 13 Corruptors versus 8 Void Rays is not really that's not really a good chance for the Zerg of taking that fight. Those Infestors will be key here, and I think Yona is engaging a little bit prematurely here. Once his air army goes down, and there is a chance of that happening, he's got nothing to reinforce with on the ground. A huge fungal, though, on the entirety of the army of the Protoss player, and an engagement is how as those Broodlords have to stay alive. Void Rays not even being given a chance to trying to kill them and target them down. And, this army is still staying alive, and the Protoss army numbers are dwindling rapidly here.
Oh, and Yona I fully agree. That is the Wings of Liberty composition. Now, the one thing for Yona though is he lost a lot of mutas there. If he hadn't lost quite so many
Yeah.
mutas, he would have been able to continue that push. As it is, he is going to have to pull back and wait until he has a few more units out. That's an incredible engagement by Yona. Even though he was actually at an upgrade disadvantage, still able to make it work. Very, very strong composition. And but it was really down to a lot to those clutch fungals, not allowing the Protoss Dark Omicron to engage in the manner to which he would prefer to do.
And now with the addition of these Tempests into the army, it's going to be a little bit easier for Dark Omicron to kill off those Broodlords, but they're getting targeted down by the Mutalisk's great micro coming out of Yona here, focusing each group of units at the exact opposing unit it counters, so to speak, even though I don't believe in counters. The micro was just phenomenal here, crushing through the Protoss numbers, and with the loss of that air support, Dark Omicron has lost the air battle, and just with massive link reinforcements with which we are seeing right now coming from the Zerglair, Yona will be able to secure a victory here. Just has to be careful not to lose those Corruptors and Mutalisks needlessly, because they are getting targeted down. 2 more Tempests about to pop. Not all is said and done yet.
Yep, not quite. Dark Omicron is going to be holding on for as long as possible, but losing these tech units almost as soon as they come out. The Colossus going down. The Tempest now has to be careful with how it engages, and more being killed for Dark Omicron. And even worse for him is it looks like he will eventually lose this base, and once that happens, Yona is going to be roughly 40 bases ahead by my count. And with the ability to take as many as he wants in the future. So, very, very difficult position for Dark Omicron to come back from, even if he survives this current attack.
I think he's running out of options. He's even trying to get a War Prism for a counter-attack maybe, but the 4th base falls. The main is mined out. Natural will be mined out very shortly as well. Even if it had any workers, the Lings are now free to run into the 3rd base through the breach in the wall, and once these Stalkers will go down, there practically is nothing that Dark Omicron has that he could kill these Broodlords and Corruptors with. Tempests getting 2-shotted from the sky by the innumerable groups of Corruptors that we see here, and it is not going to take long. 200 supply versus 60. I think Dark Omicron is just taking a deep breather before typing the GG that we see on the screen right now.